Back for more? JustProfessor here. Your brain is lazy and it is making you dumber. You think you are thinking. But most of the time you are not. You are running on autopilot. You are using shortcuts. You are defaulting to what feels easy instead of what is accurate. And you do not notice because it feels like thinking. It feels like you are making decisions. Like you are analyzing information. Like you are being rational. But you are not. You are doing the mental equivalent of taking the shortest route. The one that requires the least effort. The one that uses the least energy. And your brain loves it. Because thinking is expensive. It burns calories. It takes focus. It demands attention. So your brain avoids it whenever possible. And that avoidance is keeping you stuck in patterns that do not serve you. This is called the cognitive miser tendency. And it is the reason you keep making the same mistakes over and over. Here is how it works. Your brain is built to conserve energy. Thinking deeply requires a lot of mental resources. So your brain only does it when absolutely necessary. The rest of the time it takes shortcuts. It relies on habits, on assumptions, on quick judgments, on patterns it has seen before. And most of the time, this works fine. You do not need to think deeply about every single decision. But the problem is that your brain does not know when deep thinking is actually necessary. It defaults to the easy path even when the easy path leads you wrong. And you never realize it because the easy path feels right. This is why the cognitive miser tendency is so dangerous. It does not feel like laziness. It feels like efficiency. You think you are being smart by making quick decisions. But you are not being smart. You are being cheap. Your brain is saving energy at the cost of accuracy. And you are paying the price without even knowing it. Most people think they use logic to make decisions. They think they weigh options. They think they consider consequences. They think they analyze situations. But they do not. Not really. They use their gut. They use their first impression. They use whatever answer comes to mind first. And then they stop. They do not dig deeper. They do not question their initial reaction. They just assume it is correct. Because thinking more would take more effort. And their brain does not want to put in that effort. Think about the last time you had to make a decision. A real one, not something automatic, something that mattered. Did you research it thoroughly? Did you consider multiple perspectives? Did you challenge your own assumptions? Or did you just go with what felt right? Most people go with what feels right. And they convince themselves that feeling is intuition, that it is wisdom, that it is their brain processing information below the surface. But it is not. It is just their brain avoiding work. This is what the cognitive miser tendency does. It makes you trust your first thought, your first impression, your first answer. And it stops you from questioning whether that first response is actually correct. Because questioning takes effort. And your brain is programmed to avoid effort whenever possible. Now think about how this shows up in your daily life. You read a headline and you form an opinion. You do not read the article. You do not check the source. You do not consider alternative explanations. You just see the headline, make a judgment, and move on. Because reading more would take more time, more focus, more energy, and your brain says no. We already have an answer. Good enough, move on. You hear someone say something that confirms what you already believe, and you accept it immediately. You do not fact check. You do not ask for evidence. You do not wonder if it might be wrong. You just think, yes, that makes sense, and you adopt it as truth. Because challenging it would require thinking. And thinking is expensive, so you skip it. You face a problem and you go with the first solution that comes to mind. You do not brainstorm alternatives. You do not consider long-term consequences. You do not test different approaches. You just pick the obvious answer and execute. Because exploring options takes mental energy. And your brain would rather save that energy for something else. Or for nothing at all. This is the trap. The cognitive miser tendency makes you settle for good enough when better is possible. It makes you accept surface-level answers when deeper answers are available. It makes you stop thinking as soon as you have any answer, even if that answer is wrong. And you do not realize you're doing this because it does not feel like giving up. It feels like being decisive. It feels like trusting yourself. It feels like moving forward, but you are not moving forward. You are just moving fast. And fast is not the same as right. Think about how many times you have been wrong about something you were confident about. You were sure you understood. You were sure you knew the answer. You were sure you were making the right choice, and then reality proved you wrong. And you were shocked. You thought, how did I miss that? How did I not see it? But you did not miss it because you are dumb. You missed it because you stopped thinking too soon. Your brain gave you a quick answer, and you trusted it. And it was wrong, but by the time you realized it, the damage was done. This is why the cognitive miser tendency is so costly. It does not just make you wrong occasionally. It makes you consistently shallow. You never dig deep enough. You never think long enough. You never question hard enough. Because your brain is always pulling you toward the easy path, the quick judgment, the simple answer. And you follow. Because it feels efficient. But it is not efficient. It is lazy. And lazy thinking leads to bad outcomes. Now think about the people who seem smarter than you. The ones who make better decisions. The ones who see things you miss. The ones who avoid mistakes you keep making. You think they are just naturally more intelligent. But most of the time, they are not. They are just less miserly with their thinking. They push past the first answer. They question their initial reactions. They force themselves to consider alternatives. Not because it is fun, but because they know the first answer is usually incomplete. And they are willing to spend the mental energy to find a better one. This is the difference. The cognitive miser tendency affects everyone, but some people fight it. They recognize when their brain is trying to take a shortcut. And they force themselves to think deeper, to consider more, to question longer, and that effort makes them better. Not smarter, just less lazy. This means improving your thinking is not about becoming more intelligent. It is about becoming less cheap. You need to stop trusting your first reaction. Stop accepting your first answer. Stop settling for surface-level understanding, because your brain will always try to conserve energy. It will always push you toward the easy path. And if you let it, you will stay shallow forever. You will keep making the same mistakes. You will keep missing the same insights. You will keep choosing the quick answer over the right answer, and you will never realize how much that is costing you. So here's what you need to understand. Thinking is work. Real thinking, the kind that challenges your assumptions, the kind that considers alternatives, the kind that digs past the surface. And your brain hates work. It will resist. It will tell you the first answer is good enough. It will make you feel smart for making quick decisions. It will reward you with a sense of efficiency. But that efficiency is fake. It is just your brain tricking you into avoiding effort. Stop falling for it. When you face a decision, do not stop at the first answer. Push further. When you hear information, do not accept it immediately. Question it. When you form an opinion, do not assume it is right. Challenge it. And when your brain tells you that you have thought enough, ignore it. Because your brain is a liar. It does not care about accuracy. It only cares about saving energy. And if you let it control you, you will spend your whole life thinking you are smart, while actually being lazy. The cognitive miser tendency is not a flaw you can eliminate. It is a feature of how brains work, but you can fight it. You can recognize when your brain is cutting corners. You can force yourself to think deeper. You can push past the easy answer, and when you do, you stop being average. Because average people let their brains save energy, and exceptional people spend it. Subscribe if you want to see what else your brain is hiding from you.